Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. We have come a long way together, and we are finally at the last section of the first chapter of the book The Niche of Light by Imam Abu Hamid al-Ghazali. And for those who don't know what we're talking about, let me introduce myself first. I am Haja Fatima Dodo El Meki. I converted to Islam when I was very young, and later on I got the chance to go study Islam in the Islamic Republic of Iran, and that's why I got my bachelor's degrees. Um, and what I always wanted was to share with others what I have learned. So this series of videos that I'm making is because I want to share what I have learned. I have loved this book so much that and I have loved so much and I have learned so much that I was like I have to share with others what I have learned. And I wanted to break down the book in a way that is going to be very easy for everybody to understand. And that's why I have titled my videos The Niche of Lights for Dummies. I don't mean that you're a dummy. Only yourself you can judge. I don't judge. And no, I titled this way because I wanted to break it down that is going to, in a way that is going to be very easy for everybody to understand. And so let's go and start with the end of this first chapter. The main reason of this book is Surah 24, verse 35. One of Imam Abu Hamid al-Ghazali asked him the meaning of this verse and especially the word light. So the verse goes as follow. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allah is the light of the heavens and the earth. His light is like a niche in which there is a lamp. The lamp is in a crystal. The crystal is like a shining star lit from the oil of a blessed olive tree, located neither to the east nor the west, whose oil would almost glow even without being touched by fire. Light upon light, Allah guides whoever He wills to His light. And Allah sets forth parables for humanity. For Allah has perfect knowledge of all things. Surah 24, verse 35. So a friend of Imam Abu Hamid al-Ghazali asked him the meaning of the word light, and that's what Imam Abu Hamid Ghazali has been explaining since the beginning of this book. If you haven't watched the previous videos, I will strongly recommend you to do so because I'm not going to talk again about what we have talked about before. Now we're going forward, but I'm just going to do a little recap of what we have seen so far. We have seen the definition of the word light according to the common of people, and it was manifestation, like the sun. When the sun appears, everything becomes clear and we can see. And then we have the definition of the word light according to the elite, who say that the eye, the outward eye, deserve the definition of the word light because even if the sun appears, for example, if you don't have an eye to see it, then there's no point. Then we have the definition of the elite, who say that the outward eye has some imperfections and therefore something else deserve um, the definition of the word light is more appropriate. And it was the inward eye, it was the eye that we have in our heart. Is the eye that we have in our heart, also called the rational faculty, which is the light. But then that light needs something to shake it, needs something to bring light, and it's the sun. Not our sun, but it's another kind of sun, and that sun is nothing else but the words of wisdom, the word of Allah. So the words of Allah are found in the Quran and in holy books. So the holy books and the Quran are the sun that the rational faculty, that the eye in our heart needs. But then we have also seen that since the Quran is the words of Allah, then Allah is the light because everything turns to Allah. So right now we're going to talk about this section, section 3C. That's why I really strongly recommend you to watch the previous videos. It's going to make it easy for you to just swim with us to the third section, 3C. And let's go. One does not point to the light of the sun, but rather to the sun, right? We don't point to the light of the sun, we point to the sun. And with the same way, because everything is related to God, we point to God directly. Because everything, all the faces turn to Allah. Everything gets its light from Allah. We have seen that other lights are just metaphor. The real light is Allah. And we get our light from Allah. That's why I have loved the picture that I put there. You see, for example, that with all these hands, and okay, it's the planet Earth as I see there, but what I wanted to explain with this beautiful picture is that we are all connected. Suppose that instead of the planet Earth, it's the light of Allah. We all get that light. We all have that light inside us. We are connected because our light comes from one and only source, and it's Allah. Allah give us that light. When the common of people have understand that there's no greater light than Allah, that's when they say La ilaha illallah. There is no God but Allah. For them, for the common of people, there is no God but Allah. But for the elite of the elite, they don't say La ilaha illallah. For them is La ilaha illahu. There is no He but He. It's not about God. Because I think when I used to be younger, when they said there's no God but Allah, there's no God but God, what used to cross my mind was like, there's no God but God, so maybe there were some other gods, but the better one, the Allah is the only one. So everything else, maybe there was some hierarchy, something like that. That's what when I was younger, that's what how I was trying to understand to make it clear in my mind. That there's no God but Allah. It's as if there were some kind of way you can imagine that there were people can imagine that they're God, 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 and then there's a bigger one. No, the light, the source is Allah, and for the common of people, they understand that there is no God but Allah. That's light, the maximum light. But for the elite, it's very simple. For them, is simply that there is no He, La ilaha illahu. It's not about God. It's there is no He except He. There is no He but He. So they have reached another level. They went deeper as if they went into the essence of Allah. They have understand that light. So it's as if we see the outside of the light and we say, oh, there's no light except that light. There is no God except God. But then the elite went inside that light and they understand that there is no He but He. So once they have understand that there is no he but he, they have understand that there is no higher. There's nothing. They have climbed already to the top of the top, and there's no way to climb higher than that. So Allah is where everything, um, if I can say, stops, because He is the one. His light is the that light who brings light to everything at the bottom. We cannot climb higher than that light. Allah is the light, and we cannot climb over that light. And because we cannot climb over, because there's no way, if you can climb higher, it means that, okay, there's this level, and then there's another level, and there's another level. But once you understand that you cannot climb higher than that, it's where you understand that there is no more plurality, and there's only oneness, there's only one light, because you cannot go higher than that. And that's how you understand that there is only that one light, and there is no plurality. There is only Allah. There is only La ilaha illallah. There's only Allah. Everything turns its face to Allah, because we get our light from the top of the top of the topest light. When I say top of top, because remember, we have talked about some hierarchy where of light, and then the top is Allah. There's no light, because everything on the bottom is just metaphor. It's not real light. We get our light from Allah. And once you understand, you go deeper into that knowledge, you understand that there is no He but He. I don't know where do you stand? Do you stand in there is no God but God? Or do you stand by there is no He but He? So when the elite of the elite, the Arifun, the agnostics, have reached that level where they understand that there is no He but He, there is no room remains in them for the remembrance of any other than God, nor the remembrance of themselves. The thing is, once they reach that level, you see, when I said um, the common of people, we say La ilaha illallah, there is no God but God, because we have just reached that level outside, and that the Arifun, the elite of the elite, they want inside that light. Once they went inside that light and that they understood there is no He but He, what happened at that moment is that they don't see anything else. Not only they don't see anything else, they don't even see themselves in either. They get lost into that light. And when they get lost into that light, they get kind of intoxicated by that light. And what they will say is, I am real. They will say that, glory be to me, how great is my station. They're going to say things like, there is nothing in my robe but God. They're going to say things like, God, I'm one with Him. And that's the kind of speech of lovers in the state of intoxication. That's when they get inside that light where they understand there is only He but He. When they get into that station where they forget themselves, where there's nothing else that exists, when they're intoxicated and they say these kind of words, we should not spread the words of the lovers, the words of that Arifun, of that elite of the elite, because after coming out of that light, after waking up, getting out of that light, they will realize that whatever they have been saying at that moment of intoxication, it was just because they got the taste of the light, and they forgot who they are. But then they come back to reality that they are them and Allah is Allah. So whatever they say during that time of intoxication is not something that we have to take them and say, for example, that they're doing shirk. It's because they have tasted something that just made them forget who they are. And once they taste that light, once they are inside that light, they become as if you see that glass when they say you can't tell if the wine is the glass or if the glass is the wine. You cannot tell the difference anymore between the glass and the wine inside the glass. It becomes as if they were one. And at that moment, when the Arifun, when the elite of the elite reach that level, he thinks that he becomes one with the light because he doesn't see anything else. But because when he doesn't see anything else, it becomes the extinction of extinction. It means that he is extincted. He is gone. He's not himself anymore. Once he tasted that light, he's gone. But it's just for a period of time till he gets back down to who he is. So the elite of the elite reach that level where they taste that light and they understand that there is nothing greater than that light. There's nothing another there's nothing on top of that light. That light is everything. That light gives life to everything. That's what they see. And they understand that that's the top of the top. Imam Abu Hamid al-Ghazali said that the ultimate goal for a believer is to climb high and high and high to reach the top, to go find that light, to go taste that light. And he said, he who knows it, and he who denies it is ignorant of it. So once you have understand that there is no other light than Allah, once you have understand that there is no higher station than that, it comes a time that if there is a change of state, it can only be from the top to the bottom. And the top to the bottom, have you ever heard about that hadith Qudsi that I think, have you heard about a hadith Qudsi? Hadith Qudsi is the hadith that it's not from the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it's from Allah. It's the hadith that Allah has said. And there's one of the hadiths where Allah has said, um, when the believer reaches a high level, then Allah, and then he says, now he says, I become the hearing by which he hears, the seeing by which he sees, and the tongue by which he speaks. How can Allah become the hearing by which you hear, the eye by which you see, the tongue by which you speak? Since he's the light, the top, he can become that way. He can become that eye through which you see when his light comes down to you. So then that's the moment when there is a change of state. That's the moment where the highest light brings some sparkles to the bottom. So for Allah to do so, the believer has to reach a higher level. I don't know where you stand, but right now it's just like, sometimes you feel that you're just you because I think I would just end with La ilaha illallah because I didn't taste that light yet. And I hope one day we will be able to taste that light, inshallah, and understand better what Imam Abu Hamid al-Ghazali is talking about that light. So when, just to recapitulate a little bit, since we have understanding there's a climbing up, then there is also something that goes down. And the way that the there's a change is when Allah's light comes. I want to say, I want to see the image that I have in my head is like a river. It comes from the top and is going like not a waterfall, not like, but just like the river, something the water is going flow down. So the light of Allah comes down, flows down, and it goes. That's the time when He becomes the hearing by which we hear, or the seeing by which we see, when we reach that level. And this means again that we are connected, because first we have that light already, Allah's light in us. We have that I in us, that light in us that Allah has put in us, that makes us connected to Allah. So all of us, that's when I was younger, and they used to say, when I was Christian, I should say, when I was Christian, and I used to hear, for example, that Allah created us through His image. I was thinking, I was like, wow, Allah looks like this person, Allah looks like that person, Allah looks, ooh, like that one, you know. But then you understand, when they say Allah created us in His image, it's just that Allah has put that light in us, because we are nothing without that light. That light keeps us alive. That light is the one that, when we say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi raji'un, from Allah we belong, and to Allah is the return, that light return to Allah. So we understand that we are connected. Once we understand that, I think we can put, really, the world can become a better place for everybody. Once we have understand that we share that light. But okay, let's continue with the book. Now that we have understand that Allah is the light, we have understand that everything turns towards Allah. We have a better understanding of that verse that says that Allah is the light of the heavens and the earth, because everything comes from Allah, and any other light is just a metaphor of the light. It's not the real light. The source is Allah. And there's an example, a beautiful example, that Imam Abu Hamid Ghazali has given. He said, for example, when you see the lights and greenness of springtime in the brightness of the day, you have no doubt that you see colors, right? When it's springtime, everything is green, colorful, beautiful flowers. You see colors, right? And you don't have a doubt that you see colors. But then there's a time where people don't pay attention to the light, because it's the light that helps you see the colors. So other people just stick with besides the light, besides the colors, I don't see anything else. I see colors. I don't see the light, because I don't pay attention that actually it's the light who brings the colors, right? Who helps you see the colors. So some people just at that level, where for them it's just colors and nothing else. For other people, they understand that the light, the reflection of the light, is what help us see colors. And that's the same way with Allah. Some people just look at the creation, look at what Allah has done, the creatures and everything, and they're stuck in that. They don't see that the real light comes from Allah. So they are different levels of understanding. And that's why Imam Abu Hamid al-Ghazali said, if you cannot understand this knowledge, then just leave it. That's okay. If you don't understand it, just leave it. It's okay. There is science, there's type of science for everybody. Okay? Maybe this one is not for you. Maybe this one is not your level, but you will find the one for you. Don't give up because there's science, there's type of science for everybody. And also, if your aspiration is not very high enough to understand all these things, that's also okay. You will find yours. And if I have to use my words, I will say, if you're a dummy, but you're a dummy. I'm just joking. So it's just if because sometimes you can be like, what he has said, I don't believe it. It's not real. It's okay. If you don't believe this, it's okay. He has said, those who knows, and that's it. And also remember, there are different level of people. We have the common people, we have the elite, we have the elite of the elite. So wherever you stand, it's where you're getting your knowledge. It's where the way you're going to understand things. But if you understand higher than what has been said, wow, then mashallah. So don't be I think that that goes even with everything. For example, when we learn, sometimes people likes to debate. No, what this one is saying is wrong. This religion is wrong. This thing is wrong. Everybody has their way of understanding things. Everybody has their level. We have to know to talk to people at the level they are at. We should not talk. You cannot talk to a kindergartner as if you're talking to a PhD, to a doctor. You cannot talk the same way to those two peoples, right? So the understanding is different. So everybody's level is different. So Imam Abu Hamid al-Ghazali said, if you have some doubt about what he said, he wrote and everything, that's okay. Just keep going, keep learning. That's okay. We have reached the end of the first chapter, and these pictures that I have put there are going to help you um, remember everything that we have seen. I'm not going to talk about it because I hope that you are able to explain just by looking at these pictures what we have been seeing during all these videos. If you haven't seen the previous videos, please watch it and then you will be able to understand all these steps. And for you who has watched it since the beginning, I hope that you are able to explain everything that's in here. Inshallah. Thank you for watching. I hope that you enjoyed these videos and I hope that you're going to join me for the next video, which is going to be the second chapter of the book, The Niche of Lights, and it's going to talk about, just join me for the next video. And please like, share, and subscribe if you have enjoyed. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.